Hello, this is Brad. I am with Mid-Continent Public Library, and welcome to today's program. Today, we will be learning how to research internet service providers to see who provides service within your area and how to pick the service that is best for your needs. We will go over some important things to look for, including the speed, price, and type of internet connection an internet service provider has to offer. Internet service provider is often abbreviated as ISP, so don't be thrown if I use that term today. We are going to start out by discussing the different types of internet connections that are available. There are a number of different ones that different commercial internet providers offer. DSL is a fairly common type of internet connection, and it uses a phone, landline, and telephone lines to connect your home to the internet. At one time, this was considered a giant upgrade as compared to traditional dial-up internet because DSL has a dedicated phone line, which means that the internet has its own line to run and the phone can be used at the same time. One benefit of a DSL connection is that the speed of the connection is not directly affected by the number of people using the internet. So if your neighbors are at home and they're using the internet and they have a DSL connection, and you are at home and you have a DSL connection, it will not cause anyone's speeds to slow down. However, the distance you live from your internet service provider may affect your speeds. If you live in a more rural area, far from where your ISP may have a location, your internet speeds may be slower because of that. But likely in those cases, DSL might be one of your only options. If you live in or close to a larger city, then a cable internet connection is likely going to be available to you. This is another common connection type that uses a TV cable connection. These are lines that are typically buried underground, as opposed to DSL, which uses telephone lines. One downside of a cable connection is that your pool of bandwidth is shared with all of your neighbors. So if all your neighbors are using the internet at the same time, this may slow down your speeds. Another type of connection is fiber. This is a newer type of underground cable. It is similar to cable. The difference is the composition. The cables are made of fiber, which allows the internet to be faster. Google Fiber and AT&T Fiber are kind of the two most common versions of this. It is not available everywhere, and so it is kind of limited on who can have this type of internet. Satellite is another type of internet. This is not as common. One downside of using satellite internet is it usually still has data caps, which that just means there's a limit to the amount of data you can use on your internet. Just think of your mobile phone plan. You probably have a data limit. Satellite plan, you have a data cap on how much data you can use in a month. This is not that common amongst other types of internet service like DSL and cable and fiber. Usually those now are unlimited. Another kind of internet connection is fixed wireless. This is even less common, and this actually uses radio waves to send the internet to your home. We will see a couple of fixed wireless providers, but they are not usually very big names, and they are usually very small and local. The exception to that is a 5G wireless network. This is technically a fixed wireless network. A 5G network uses a cell phone company's cellular data to connect. Verizon and T-Mobile are offering wireless internet services right now. So if you had good cell phone coverage for T-Mobile, then their 5G internet might be something that would work well for you. It's sort of like a big hotspot that you use to connect your internet. It's not using any cables or anything. It is just using that cell phone cellular coverage to provide internet to your home. Now that we have kind of talked about the different types of internet, we are going to kind of talk about internet speeds and what you might need based upon what it is you are wanting to do on your internet. To get started, let's go ahead and open up a web browser. You could use any web browser, but today I will be using Mozilla Firefox. And once I get my browser open, I am going to go to my address bar, and we are going to go to fcc.gov. This is the Federal Communications Commission website. They have information about internet speed. I will click this For Consumers tab over here. And this is going to help us learn about the type of internet speed we need based upon what it is we are wanting to do online. From this Consumer Help Center, I am going to go ahead and scroll down. And here I see the consumer guides. And we are going to look at the Broadband and Internet Guide, which is right here. And then from here, there are two different guides that we are going to be looking at. The first one is the Broadband Speed Guide. This is going to tell us what we need to know about the different types of activity we can do online. And then we are also going to look at the Household Broadband Guide. This will tell us how much speed we need based upon how many people are in our household. We'll look at the Broadband Speed Guide to get started. It just gives us some recommendations based upon the type of internet activity we might be doing. We can see it tells us if we are going to be doing general browsing and email, we need about 1 megabit per second. Megabit per second is just a way to measure internet speed. And an even faster speed would be gigabits per second. If we were going to be doing social media, we only need about 1 megabit per second. If we are going to be streaming video in standard definition, we need 3 to 4 megabits per second. High definition, 5 to 8. And then in Ultra HD 4K, we need 25. For gaming, we need 3 to 4 megabits per second. And for video conferencing, we need anywhere from 1 to 6 megabits per second. It's a good idea to look at this guide and consider what it is you are going to be doing on your internet. And there's a printable version down here of this broadband speed guide. There we see it's just a printable version of that information we saw. And we see here a household broadband guide. I pointed that out earlier. We can access that here, or we can go back several pages on the FCC website. I can also access the household broadband guide from here as well. And this will give us guidance about the type of internet use we have in relation to how many people live in our home and use the internet at one time. Here we see guidance for light, moderate, and high use, and then it would tell us the type of service that we need based upon that use, whether that is basic, medium, or advanced. So before we look at an internet service provider, it's a good idea to kind of do this research to see how much speed we are looking for. There's also a printable version down here of this information. And now we are ready to go ahead and start researching some internet service providers. The first website we are going to look at is called broadbandnow.com. And here we are. This is where we can find information about internet service providers in our area. And in this box, I am going to enter my local zip code. And then I will click the green search button. And it will show us internet service providers that provide service within my zip code. This tells us the service provider. This is AT&T Fiber. This tells us the internet speeds. This speed is actually 5 gigabits per second. Gigabits is 10 times faster than megabits. Even if your internet service provider advertises certain speeds, those are often up to, meaning that that is the fastest your internet might be, and it might not actually be how fast your internet is on average. This tells us the price at which the plans start. Here we see the connection type. This is a fiber connection. And then here it shows us the availability for our area. And so this is not available everywhere within this zip code, but in 95.9% of this zip code, AT&T Fiber is available. Here we see all of the other internet connections available. We have Xfinity, T-Mobile, ViaSat, HughesNet, Spectrum, Packet Layer, Earthlink. These are all the different service providers that are available within our area. We also see WhisperNet and Wave Internet. Let's go back up to our AT&T Fiber listing. If we wanted to get information, we could call this number, or we could click the View Plans button. And this is actually going to take us from broadbandnow.com and take us to AT&T's website. And it's going to ask us some questions here. What service are we looking for? We're looking for internet. And you would answer this question, whether you are a current or new AT&T customer. I am going to select New Customer. It asks us how soon we need our service. You would answer this with whatever you need. I am going to select within a month. And see here, this is where I would not put in my name, email address, phone number, and zip code. I can see this being a way that AT&T is going to send us some spam mail. And so if you're just not wanting that, I would suggest pressing this or skip to plans option so you don't get a bunch of extra mail from AT&T. And here we see some available plans. We see AT&T's fiber plan for 300 megabit speeds. It says that comes at $55 a month. And so we would want to recall what activities we are wanting to do online and how many people are in our family when we think about 300 megabits per second. Will that be enough speed for us? And there's lots of information here. Here we see the 500 megabit speeds and up to 1 gigabit. Remember, gigabits is 10 times faster than megabits. And I do want to zoom in here. It's always good to read the fine print. Even though this says it's $65 a month, we can see that that price is after $5 a month auto pay and paperless billing discount. There's an install charge here. And so it's just a good idea to check these things. A lot of these introductory rates will go up. There's probably an area where we can see even more details if we want to. But basically, you really just want to do some digging to find the actual price. They make it kind of a challenge to do so. And again, we could call down here. There's also an option to check our availability. Sometimes these deals actually are not available within our area. See here, it wants me to enter my specific address. I would do this with caution, knowing that they might send some mail to my house. But just to show you what it looks like, I am going to go ahead and enter address. And here we see that I'm actually not eligible for either of those 3 programs we saw. Within my area, I am eligible for 18 megabits per second. So, I really need to think about what it is I'm wanting to do and think if that speed is going to be good enough. I also want to point out that that $55 a month is only for 12 months, and we see that price above slashed out. That's actually the price we're going to pay after 12 months. So you kind of have to do a little digging. A lot of these providers are going to try to make their deals sound even better. Here we see that Xfinity is offering 2 gigabits starting at $25 a month. And see, they have a cable connection, which is that type of connection we read about, which connects like a TV cable. And this is available in 99.8% of our area. Let's go ahead and take a look at Xfinity's internet plans. Here they want me to enter my street address. Just cautionary, you might get a flyer in the mail if you do this, but I will show you what it looks like. I entered my address. I'll click Add Internet here. Here we see their different plans. 75 megabits for $20 a month. We can see that's only for 12 months. If you look right there in the fine print, which you should always do, we have 200 megabit service right here, and 400, 800, 1,000 2,000 as well down there. So quite the variety of speeds there. Let's go ahead and go back. Here we see T-Mobile home internet. Here we see download speeds from 33 to 182 megabits per second, quite the range. Plans start at $50 a month. This is one of our 5G internets, so that is one of those fixed wireless networks. It is available within 100% of the area. Let's go ahead and check out their rates. Let's see here. If we want to get started, we can call this number. I'm going to select Other for this, and then I will select Streaming and Browsing, and I'm going to say No. And now they want me to enter my information. They are even letting you know they're going to send you promotions, so I am not going to do that. Let's go ahead and go back. But like I was saying, this is that internet that is basically like having a giant hotspot in your home that allows you to connect to the internet using T-Mobile's cellular network. Let's see what else we have here. Here's ViaSat. They are a satellite company. We also see HughesNet down here. They're also a satellite company, offering 25 megabits per second at $49.99 per month. As we said, they are a satellite connection with 100% availability, because as long as you're able to put a satellite on your house, you should be able to use this kind of service. Let's click View Plans. Here we see some of their plans. Download speeds of 25 megabits per second. This is 33 gigabytes. This is 100 gigabytes. And see, that is not our speed. That is actually our data caps. So that is how much data you can use in a month. Just like if you had a data limit for your cell phone, satellite providers often have data limits for their internet use. So that's something you might want to consider. If you're using your internet a lot and 30 gigabytes is not going to cover it, then this might not be a great option. And here they're saying if you exceed your data plan, you will still stay connected, but you might have trouble during high-speed traffic. So that's just another thing to consider if we were wanting to look at the 30 gigabyte data limit with 25 megabit speeds on HughesNet. And they have a phone number here that we can call if we're interested in this service. Let's go ahead and go back. We have seen most of the types of internet service we talked about. Here's Spectrum with the 1 gigabit plan. They are another cable connection. As you can see here, they're only available in 2.5% of our zip code, so we really want to consider that. They might not be available where we live. And then down here, I just want to show you some of these fixed wireless networks. Here's Whisper, they're a fixed wireless network, as is Packet Layer. And those are the internet service providers that use radio waves to send internet to your home. Like I said, those are smaller. I've never really heard of either of these. They must be very local or very small. If we scroll down, they have some comparisons of providers. Here we see AT&T versus Spectrum. I'll just kind of quickly go through this. If you wanted to look at the pros and cons of each provider side by side, you could do that here. That's another handy feature that Broadband Now offers. I'm going to go back. We see a couple other comparisons in our area. Down here we have store locations, if that influences our decision, and then some nearby cities. And you may have noticed some of these services have star ratings. That's something else you might want to consider. I'm going to go up here. Besides Broadband Now, there is another online service that you can do this through, and it is called inmyarea.com. And so this way you can compare the different sites. I will enter my zip code up top here, and then I could easily use this site just like I did with Broadband Now, and I could see the different service providers in my area through a different lens. I do want to show you this quick article on PC Mag. PC Mag is a pretty reputable source. This talks about the overall best ISPs. Here we see the winner of the different categories. The first one is the overall winner, AT&T was the winner for fiber, and then Starlink was the best satellite service. Verizon had the best fixed wireless network with their 5G in-home internet, and then Astound had the best cable network. If we scroll down here, we have some overall satisfaction for each service. We can see some of the ones we looked at earlier here. There's AT&T Fiber, there's Spectrum. We see Xfinity down there as well. And this is just an overall thing. There are some other things that they asked readers about. Here's value, and we can see how the different ISPs rank up. It's a good idea to research articles like this and to not rely upon the advertising of internet service providers solely. They, of course, are going to tell you that they is the best, and it's good to do some independent research. As you are looking for internet service providers, be sure to consider the things that we talked about today. Consider your speed, consider where you live and your connection type, and see what is available in your area using one of the sites we looked at or another one. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to follow our MCPL 360 Facebook page. We premiere new videos every Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. And if you miss the premiere on Facebook, you can watch all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our MCPL Mo YouTube channel to watch all of our videos. This has been Brad. Thank you so much. Have a great day.